How's it going, YouTube land? Scipio2 here again. Today we're going to do a how to do it yourself optic mounting. I wouldn't even really call it a lesson, but anyway, follow along at home and you can see it for yourself, and if you're in this same boat, you'll know what you're getting yourself into. A week or so ago, we did an unboxing of this advanced microdot from Primary Arms. We also did an unboxing and look at the American Defense Absolute Co-Witness Quick Disconnect, and today we're going to join the two. So follow along and you'll see what you're getting yourself into. First thing we want to do is take the supplied Vibratite. This is basically an anti-locker non-seizing compound that will, while it's kind of gelatin-like, once it dries will create a composition that will essentially allow the screws and hardware to remain removable but not permanently fused. So get you some scissors, cut your little corner off here. Careful, you don't want to go spraying this crap everywhere. And then basically we're just gonna, over here in the corner, as you can see, we're gonna little dab of this jelly on each of them dudes and let that soak in. They give you more than enough, so don't feel bad if you get crazy, kind of like I did over here. It ain't gonna hurt anything. Just make sure you roll your screws around in that stuff, get it all spread it out. Like I said, it comes out kind of not quite jelly-like, but it's definitely, if you've never used it before, oh my god, yeah, see? It comes out real fast, or not so much real fast, but it comes out real heavy. But that's alright. Like I said, just let your screws sit in that for a few minutes, it'll be just fine. Meanwhile, we're going to sit that off to the side, try not to bleed everywhere. And when you start smelling something funky, not that you're smelling it through this, but if you're doing this yourself, it's that stuff, it stinks. Anyway, take your Optic. In this case, again, it's the advanced microdot from Primary Arms. Here you can see its logo and everything. But it would be the same if you're, shooting an aim point or a Holosun and a handful of others. And you've got the 4 screws at the bottom. Take your supplied wrench. We're just going to go ahead and back those all off. Pull them out. Let's see. Okay, that one's loose. I believe that one's loose. Now don't go tossing your screws away or anything silly. The manufacturer is probably going to suggest that you reuse them, but we're actually going to use the stainless ones. They should be the same length and size and so forth. So we're going to just sit those off to the side, save them for a rainy day. So you've got your plate off, and you'll see that the bottom of your factory plate looks pretty much identical to that. So voila. Now make sure that the bottom side of your Optic is clean, clear, free of any debris, dust, all that kind of thing, especially your mounting holes. And they are. Another thing, when you got your mount, be sure that when you're mounting your Optic, you know which direction you're facing it so that it correlates with your riser or whatever mounting system you're using. This is kind of unilateral. It will apply to a lot of different options and so forth. Basically, in this case, I would want this to be the right side of my rifle, this to be the left side of my rifle, so I want my objective lens here and I want my viewing lens here. So this is my objective side, this is my viewing side, so when I'm mating these up, I want to make sure they're facing that way. Otherwise, you're going to end up with one of two things. Your Optic's on backwards, or your mount's facing the opposite direction, if you have a preference. Some people do, some people don't. So you sit that on there, and it'll basically keyway itself in. You've got this square here, which will fit into this notch, and you've got this trough, which fits into this rised section. Listen, when you sit it up there, you'll hear it fall into place. And it basically clicks. And now it's not locked in, it just basically clicks. Now when you flip it over, this is where it gets a little tricky, because you've got to get down into those holes, or into these holes here, to line up your screws for those holes. That's a little tricky sometimes, but be patient, and it will happen. So, excuse me while I turn this slightly out of camera angle for y'all. Sorry about that. But anyway, you see we're just sliding the screw down in there. Now we're not going to torque it down. We're just going to spin it a couple turns to get it started. Pick up our next one. And again, we're going to, repeat the process. Oh, come on. Again, this Vibrite, if you've never used it, is very sticky. I don't really know what to compare to. Kind of like chewed up bubblegum candy once it starts to dry. So bear that in mind. But anyway, stuff works great. A little pricey, but fortunately a lot of manufacturers nowadays are including it with your purchase, so that's cool. It saves you, the consumer, the trouble of having to hunt it down, but it works every bit as good as the classic thread locker. Oh no, I lost it again. Come here, you. Come here, you. Like I said, this part's a little tricky, but be patient. It'll happen for you. Okay, there we go. So once you've got them all started, you know your mount is going to be squared to the Optic. Once they're all started, you can go ahead and start tightening them down. And I don't want you guys to get crazy with this. Just run them down a little at a time, each corner, work your way around. And you don't want to go much more than finger tight. You see what I'm doing here? I'm just going from one corner to the next, few turns, until it's finger tight. Finger tight. Alright, now I've got all four of my mounting screws secured to my Optic. Optic's not going anywhere. We've properly secured the threads with the goodies. Now we're going to take our little Torx wrench and go back in, and again just give it one good oomph and do this from opposite corner to opposite corner. First we were working clockwise or counterclockwise if that's your thing. And now we're just going opposite corner, and just giving it that little last oomph. All our screws are bottomed out, secure, snug. This definitely not going anywhere. Solid as a rock. So, just to make sure we didn't have a boo-boo, we want to turn our dot on, test for function. Hopefully you can see down in there, but we're good to go. So we didn't overdrive any of our screws or anything horrible like that. Everything's solid, and that bad boy is ready to mount on your gun. So there it is. Easy peasy. Any of y'all could do this at home, and what is it taking? 5 minutes, if that? And that's while I'm sitting here talking to you clowns. Anyway, hope that answered a few questions for anybody out there who may be contemplating looking into this option or going down this avenue. Real easy, real straightforward. Good to go. Totally Skippy approved. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Leave y'all with that. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you learned anything, if you liked what you saw, give me that thumbs up like button. And by all means, subscribe. Stay tuned to what all we got going. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.